Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this subcommittee meeting on emerging threats and capabilities to order. And I'll start with an opening statement, and Senator Heinrich will have an opening statement from you, and then we'll move on to our witnesses. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here. The Subcommittee on Emerging Threats and Capabilities meets today to receive testimony on the Department of Defense efforts to counter weapons of mass destruction. We welcome Kenneth Rapuano, Assistant Secretary for Defense of Homeland Defense and Global Security. That's a very long title. You have long business cards, I'm sure. And Lieutenant General Joseph Osterman, Deputy Commander of United States Special Operations Command, SOCOM, and thank them for appearing before us today. This hearing comes at an important time. We are witnessing a troubling increase in the proliferation of WMDs by rogue states and terrorist organizations that pose a direct and growing threat to our national security. While we are familiar with and concerned by the growing size and capabilities of North Korea's nuclear program, we should also be mindful of its efforts to expand its chemical and biological weapons capabilities. The Washington Post reported in December that North Korea is moving steadily to acquire the essential machinery that could potentially be used for an advanced bioweapons program, from factories by the ton to laboratories specializing in genetic modification. Similarly, ISIS has demonstrated its ability to develop and use chemical weapons like chlorine and mustard warfare agents in Iraq and Syria. As fighters flee the region after the fall of the physical caliphate, we must be aware of the potential for their technical knowledge to spread. Additionally, there are new reports of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad's continued use of chemical agents like sarin in attacks against his own people. All of these troubling developments vividly show the global nature of the WMD threat and in turn underscore the need for a global strategy to combat the threat. I note that the most recent DoD counter-WMD strategy was released in June of 2014. As I have just laid out, the scope and complexity of the problem has only increased since that time. This requires the DoD to reassess its strategy and ensure that we are postured appropriately in terms of organization, authorities, and capabilities to most effectively confront this threat, from preventing the development of new WMD threats and mitigating existing ones to responding in the event of a WMD incident. I look to our witnesses to provide the subcommittee with their candid assessment of how they view the WMD threat, as well as provide recommendations on any changes to our current approach that may be warranted. Additionally, while our preference will always be to deal with the threat before it reaches our shores, we must ensure that we are prepared to respond quickly and effectively to a WMD event in the homeland. I note that while DoD is not necessarily the lead organization for the Homeland Response Mission, it, in particular the National Guard, plays a key role in providing unique support to civil authorities like the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Department of Homeland Security, and local authorities. We would appreciate an update on DoD planning and related efforts to fulfill its vital support mission in the event of a WMD attack on the homeland. Lastly, it has been over 1 year since the Unified Campaign Plan was updated to assign SOCOM with responsibility for synchronizing DoD's counter-WMD mission, which entails drafting a new global campaign plan, establishing intelligence priorities, and monitoring global counter-WMD operations. General Osterman, we look to you to provide an update on how SOCOM is managing its new responsibilities, the steps they have been taken to date, and a description of any issues that could challenge the ability of SOCOM to successfully execute this important mission. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon, and we look forward to your testimony on this important